Plate tectonics. In the middle of the woods, why? Why not? Except I forgot a chair, so now I'm just crouching at this table, kind of uncomfortably. But it's fine. I'm okay, you're okay. Let's learn about plate tectonics. It shapes this planet that we live on. It creates earthquakes, it creates mountains, it creates trenches, mid-ocean ridges, all sorts of beautiful things that happen all over the world. And here we are trying to explain it with a Milky Way bar. I love this lab. Too bad you don't have one. And if you want to get a Milky Way and do this on your own, have at it. So if I take this piece of earth and I slowly pull it apart, what would that ooey gooey section of chocolate, of this chocolate bar be? What section of earth? And imagine that section of earth comes up. What type of feature would that create? What type of plate boundary is pulling apart? Now if I were to take these and I were to push them to get this plate, these two different plates, and I push them together. All right, I pushed them together. It's kind of made a mess, but did it go up? Did it go down? What happened? It's not flat anymore, but it goes up. You can see that comparison there. So what are the different features? So when you push them together, you get something that looks like this, nice and tall. What feature is that? When you push it together, what type of plate boundary would that create? If I were to pull these completely apart.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's still together.
There we go. All right, ooh, yummy. All right, so what layer would that chocolate be? What layer of earth would that chocolate be up here? What layer would the gooey center be? And what layer would that fluffy part be? Now, if I were to take these two plates and I were to slide them past each other, what type of plate boundary would that create? If you defined the upper part of this chocolate as a lithosphere, you would be correct. Let me take off the lithosphere. Now, how do you know that's the lithosphere? Right there, I kind of pulled it up there. Oh my gosh, this is such a mess. So this hard section here, that would be the lithosphere. How do we know that that's the lithosphere? We know that because the lithosphere is that rigid outer layer on the earth, right? The gooey section, the caramel, that should represent the asthenosphere, because that's what the lithosphere is riding on top of. That the caramel or the asthenosphere, that's where the convection currents occur. Now sometimes when you pull it apart, you get that ooey gooey section, right? And you pull it apart.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to eat that.
Now, if it's in underwater, that creates a mid-ocean ridge at a divergent plate boundary. But if you pull apart on land, yes, that does happen if you pull it apart on land. A divergent plate boundary on land does happen. It happens in Africa, the Great African Rift Valley. Now, if that happens, guess what? Molten material does come up and it hardens, and it does make this valley shape, okay? And it hardens and hardens and hardens, and it makes this valley. Also, it's delicious. So divergent plate boundaries make rift valleys and mid-ocean ridges. Convergent plate boundaries make subduction zones, deep ocean trenches, mountains, depending on the types of crust that are colliding. If you have continental and continental plate colliding, it's going to make a mountain. If you have continental and oceanic colliding, it's going to make a subduction zone, which then creates a deep ocean trench. Right here you can see the trench. And if you have oceanic and oceanic colliding, that's also going to create a deep ocean trench, which then eventually will create little volcanic mountains that are underwater, which then make islands, like up in Alaska. Divergent on land, that creates rift valleys. Divergent underwater creates a mid-ocean ridge because that molten material keeps piling up underwater. Transform though, all that all makes just earthquakes. And guess what? Earthquakes happen at all of them, no matter what. Because these are giant pieces of crust that are colliding into each other. So things are gonna go shaking. I have too many Milky Ways in my mouth.